Hello everyone, my name is Blake Powers. I'm a systems administrator for the Recreation Grants Online Systems here at Texas Parks and Wildlife, and welcome to the orientation video that's going to explain a little bit to you about managing your migrated application in the new RGO 2020 system. Hopefully the reason you're watching this video is because you received the email that I sent you explaining which projects from the old system have been migrated to the new system. And if you did not receive that email, you may be watching this video because you've contacted us to note that you haven't. But one of the keys is I sent that from my personal account, so hopefully that did not wind up in a junk or spam folder. But we'll just start at the beginning. The first step in making sure you can manage your project is that you can log into the new system. The email has the login URL for the actual system, and then it has the credentials provided to you. One key distinction in the credentials, the new system no longer works on an email and password login. You have to create a unique username, which is why you've been provided a username rather than simply an email to log in with. Also, the password is case sensitive, so you're going to want to note that. Okay, we're going to start just by logging in, all right, and then we'll progress to the email that you got so that we can determine and look over the next things that you're going to need to be aware of for managing your project. Okay, so the login screen for RGO 2020 is going to look very similar to this. This is the developmental system, and this is a test account I've set up. But this has some quick links. It has a link to the old system, which will be gone pretty soon, and then a couple of ways to familiarize yourself with an overview of the application process. The resources section has some opportunities for programmatic guidance and some instructions for the new system. But for now, you're not going to need to worry too much about registering for the system or anything like that, because you've already been, your organization and your account has already been migrated here. So pretty much you're going to plug in your username and password provided to you and click login. All right, now you're immediately going to notice a lot of things on this screen, but the first thing we're going to talk about is probably the biggest distinction between the new system and the original system, which is that everyone who logs in is part of a sponsor organization or an organization for consultants that assist sponsors. Sponsor organizations, all of their applications are grouped together. Okay, in the original RGO system, literally everything when you log in just had to do with your login account. You could set up an account, but there was no account for, say, in this case, the city of Austin. It was just a series of projects that belonged to a certain user. Okay, so in the new system, everything begins with the sponsor organization that you're a part of. Now, if you want to see what organization that is, okay, you can click on the Organizations tab in the top right corner, all right, and this is going to show you the organization that you're a part of. Okay, in this case, this is just a test fictional setup for my hometown, Ovilla, Texas. And this is, this has got some information that follows you around through the system as you fill out applications and complete additional paperwork in the future. This is really handy because in the old system, you had to complete this information every time. In the new system, if you have it correct here, it will simply populate the documents that you make in the future in the system. So that's pretty handy. All right. Now, within the organization itself, in the city of Villa in this case, there are three kinds of security roles. There is a sponsor administrator role. If I have that role, I can add and remove people from the organization. I can change the roles of users on the organization applications and the projects and the documents. And then I can also apply for a grant opportunity. That's what happens if I am a sponsor administrator. The easiest and most simple way to know if that's true for me is that I have a save button right here. If I've got a save button, when it comes to the organization, I can add and remove members and I can apply for grants. Okay, so if I need to change any information that's in the sponsor organization information, I can do so here and click save. Most of you that have been added to the system in this initial round are sponsor staff, or rather sponsor administrators. If you are sponsor staff and you don't see this button and you've been given the incorrect role, feel free to either reach out to me or to reach out to the person that's been designated for the sponsor administrator for your organization, and they can change your security role. Sponsor administrators, the way that you would do that is when you log into the main screen, as we saw in the beginning of the video, and you click organizations, you then click organization members, and this shows you everyone who is a part of your actual organization. Okay, it also shows you their role in the organization itself. Okay, a lot of sponsor administrators in here. I would normally recommend maybe 1 or 2 administrators, everyone else as staff. That just keeps people from getting accidentally deleted or added to the organization at large. The reason that's important is if somebody is added to the organization and in the future you guys go and create applications or initiate reimbursement requests or anything else, those folks are going to get added to everything that ever gets created in the future. Okay, so you just want to keep a pretty tight rein on your users here. The other thing that you can do is to look at the different applications that are a part of your organization. All right, that is something you're going to see here with organization documents. In the new system, when we use the word application, an application can become an awarded project too, but the base of it is it's just called an application. Okay, it's a little bit odd verbiage there, but I just, in case I use that verbiage during the course of this video, I don't want you to get confused. Okay, these are all of the documents or applications associated with City of Ovilla in the test system. Some of these are applications, some of these are payment reimbursements, some of them would be quarterly reports. We'll get to those distinctions at a later time, but basically if I want to look at any of the documents, and most of us are not going to have very many at all here, I'll just simply access the document I want to look at. All right, and then I'll have the option on the management tools menu. Actually, you know what? I've picked a document that I have a different role on. So I need to look at this particular document in this case, let's say. I'll look at the management tools menu and I'll see add edit people. Okay, if I see that, that means on this particular document, I am an administrator. Okay, even if I'm not an administrator for the City of Ovilla as an organization, on this document, I'm a project lead. I can do anything that a sponsor administrator can do, which is to say, I can add and remove users from my own organization. I can elevate or subtract their security privileges, and I can add people that aren't here yet. Okay, so and you'll notice pretty simply, City of Ovilla has 1 person on this application here. 2 people, right? They're both sponsor administrators. These are all the other people in my organization, right? So in this case, I have a project and they're not part of it. If I want to put them on the project, I just check their name and I click save. And then they're going to be able to log in and they're going to see all of the management options in the future that I see when I'm able to manage this. If I only want them to have a staff role, I could drop this down to staff. That simply means that in some of the larger benchmarks like signing grant applications or signing off on reimbursement requests, you can't do that if you're a staff member. This system forces you for somebody to designate you as administrator in order to make those kinds of decisions. Okay, so well, again, to summarize, we've looked at our organization, and within our organization, we've looked at who's a member, and then we've looked at what our documents are. Okay, that's the quick overview. The system relates to the organization before anything else. Okay, so the next part of this would be me as a user. That's a much more simple and straightforward topic. Basically, if I click on this profile tab, I'm going to see what I am, what role that I have in which organizations. Some folks are part of many organizations in the system, but in this case, I am a sponsor administrator for the City of Ovilla. If I want to change my password, this is where I will do it. Okay, I'd simply type it here, I'd confirm it here, and then I'd click save. Okay, and that's how I would change my password. That's how I would change my email address, my phone number, anything like that works off of my profile. Not entirely dissimilar from the old system, right? Here's basically my account settings, my profile in the old system. Okay, now let's go back to the home screen. Okay, I guess actually before that, there's one more link. We'll go ahead and briefly discuss it, but it's the RGO 2020 resources. Okay, those are going to be programmatic if I'm applying for a grant. And then there's a couple of different distinctions here. There's the Quick Start User Guide. This is really intended more for people that are not in the system yet, that want to apply for a grant. This shows them how to get to the login page, how to request a sponsor organization and an account, and then how to add other people and how to apply for grant opportunities, how to add and remove users. Those are the things really quickly that we just covered, actually, that can all be done through the organization profile there. And then it talks about how to save your application forms, how to submit it, and then there's a section for grant consultants, okay? The other part of this resources area is the resources for awarded active projects, all right? Now, this is going to be more important to you in a few weeks. We're still gathering some data together for your migrated applications, so you can't do all of this stuff yet, but we're going to talk about this in just a moment. But let's go back to the home screen, okay? Now that we've dealt with the key distinctions, understanding that an organization is what defines who I am and what my documents are, now I'm just going to look at my screen. Okay, I'm going to notice some areas of my screen, and one thing that's a little bit different on this screen, when you first log in, if you have anything to do, and all of you will, because I have created something for you to do with a migrated application, it's going to be in an area that says My Tasks. However, if you don't have anything to do, and in the new system, you might sometimes not have something to do, it's not going to show up in your task menu, okay? We'll go over how to find your applications if they don't show up in a task menu. But in this case, you saw how many applications I was part of, 50, 60, but I really have 4 things to do. So that's what's on this main screen. If I don't have any things to do, I could be part of 100 applications and nothing's going to show up on the main screen, okay? So just keep that in mind. When you first are getting into the system, I've linked your application to the tasks on your main screen so that you can easily find it. If I want to change the order of these areas, okay, that's why I had this dragged up. My tasks are usually the most important. The other areas of the screen, though, the view available opportunities in the new system, if there is a grant opportunity that's currently in the application period, you're going to see this. You simply click View Opportunities, and then you'd scroll down, find the opportunity you wish to apply for, and choose Apply Now. Okay? The inbox is going to show you anything that has been sent to you, okay, if you received an email from the system, okay? Sometimes this is handy because, an email can wind up in your junk or your spam folder, but this will show you everything that the system's delivered to you. So if you regularly log into the system, you don't even really have to worry about not getting an email. You're always going to see if you have a new one. In this case, I'd read all my emails, so it said 0 new ones. And then we get to the tasks area, okay? If I choose Open Tasks, I'm going to see the migrated applications in this area, okay? The status is going to say migrated applications, and that is where your project is going to be managed going forward, okay? So what would that look like? If I have multiple applications that have been brought over, if I simply highlight the name here, I can see what the name of the project is, okay? If I want to be more specific, I've got the fund number and the project number over here, which everyone can familiarize himself with from their grant agreement. This is the naming convention that we use for our projects, okay? But if I am to bring up, if I am to click here, this will take me to the forms for this project, all right? And here at this moment are the forms for a migrated project, okay? Now, what that means is that you can see a limited set of the application. Remember, you didn't have to apply for this grant in this system. So, there are a lot of application forms, and not all of that data has been migrated because your project's already been awarded. The key distinctions are, we'll just real quickly look at this. If you open up any given form, you can't save these. Remember, these are application forms. They're not designed to be saved once they've been submitted. So this is just showing you the reportable data that's in our system that we'll use to identify this project when we produce legislative reports or when we're looking it up so that we can reference common information. Okay, there's a lot of data here that was in the old system that you're not going to see. That's in our cloud storage. It's still accessible to us. It simply hasn't been moved into the new system because at this point there isn't a real distinct need for it in order to you to keep managing your project, okay? But as you go through here, you're going to see this is a local parks application. The rec trails and the boating look a little bit different, but you're going to see some general project information. For local parks, you'll see a statement of work and a project summary. You're not going to see these documents. Again, they're in cloud storage, but you will see what type of project you have, whether it's indoor, outdoor. This information won't be checked either, right? It's just some very basic stuff. We want to know if it's outdoor. We want to know if included development, acquisition, or both. And then this form we use for legislative reporting. This is the name of your project site, the county it's in, the legislative districts, the latitude, longitude, and then the physical address, right? The last form that goes with a project in our new system is the budget form. This is going to be the original amount of money awarded to your project. And the reason this is important is in the new system, when you go generate a payment request, you're going to see the available balance left in your grant. In the old system, you could not do that. In the old system, you really couldn't even look at individual payment requests on their own. But in the new system, everything is separate. So you can look at any individual quarterly report, any individual amendment request, or any individual payment request in the new system. That makes it really easy to figure out what's been done and what has not been done relative to how much money is left to reimburse or how much match is left to verify. Okay, now these forms you cannot save, so this is more just informational data. Some of the projects may not even in fact have all of this data entered yet. We're going to continue to do that over the next few weeks, okay? But what you will do to manage your project in the short term, the bulk of that work, and you see I've scrolled back up to this screen. If I click on the forms menu here, I can click this main link, and it's this project elements form. Okay, now this form, if you refer back to your original email, okay, how to use the project elements form is the key project management piece that you're going to need to understand over the next few weeks. And what's essentially going to happen in that process is our teams are going to come into this form, add an item to be supplied. Okay, at the point that that item is added, you're going to get an email saying new item added, okay? A new upload request for an acquisition appraisal review has been added to this project. Log in, access it, provide the requested upload. Don't reply to this. You never want to reply to these system messages because these emails don't go anywhere, okay? You always want to reply or direct your inquiries here, rec.grants@tpwd.texas.gov, all right? Now, going back to this screen, when we first ask for the item, there'll be an X here indicating that nothing has been provided. When you log into the system and provide the item, this will change to a yellow yield sign, meaning, hey, it's been done, but it's not quite yet verified. We'll come into the system, we'll check the document to make sure it's what's needed to fulfill the requirement. If it is, we'll mark that document verified and complete, and this will turn into a green check. At that point, you'll get an email that says, this item has been completed, right? And then this form will stay the same throughout the duration of the project. So 3 years from now, if you add a new project manager, they'll be able to look back and see what's been done and what hasn't been done. In the original system, it's kind of a similar concept to the submission screen, right? Most of you are used to seeing, this is a sample project. Most of you are used to seeing a screen like this with something that's been done, right? However, sometimes it's a little confusing because some of these tasks in the old system got hidden. Further than that, the quarterly reports and the reimbursement requests, you had to view them and create new versions of them. You couldn't go look at an individual one at any given point. If I want to see my quarterly report from Q2 of 2019, I can't just go look at that. In the new system, I'll absolutely be able to look at any quarterly report individually that I want to, or any individual reimbursement request. But these will not appear on the project elements form in the new system. They are core elements of the system. But these items, historical commission, construction plans and specs, the project elements form is the new spot. Okay, now again, you're going to want to read the documentation that was provided to you in the email about how to use that form. It's very simple. Okay, and I would highly suggest taking a look at that first to save yourself some questions. All right, now That's pretty much what's going to happen over the course of the next few weeks with these projects. All right, because they're in this special status, this migrated application status, the one thing you're not going to be able to do, well, actually, there's a couple things. The main thing you're not going to be able to do directly through the system is to ask for payment. And that's because the payments are actually generated through a core element of the system, and your project would have to be in the status of active projects in the workflow. The reason it's not there yet, we've gone through a financial migration of our TPWD systems. Many of you are aware from some of the delays in the reimbursement process. We're still working to obtain the data that catches the budget up for your project to be current. Until then, we're not going to be able to you won't be able to process a payment because we won't know until that data is migrated into the system how much money's left on the grant, which would make the budget piece of this, inaccurate. So keep an eye out for emails in the next several weeks as we get that data entered into the system, as we get these payments caught up. I will status change your project into active project status. It's already active, but I mean in the system it will be active project status, and then you'll be able to initiate the payment through the system. Same with amendments. Those are generated through the system as well. There's documentation in the resources about how to generate an amendment request, but right now you won't be able to do that. Okay? If you have a payment request or an amendment request to generate, items 3 and 4 in the original email you got talk about contacting your program teams to find out what you need to do. Okay, in the short term, it just won't be able to be automated through the system. But if you have a very particular kind of use case, you're going to want to refer to your program team to figure out if there's a way that we can work around that limitation. Hopefully that's something that'll be cleared up within the next few weeks, and you'll be able to use those core elements of the system. But for now, you're going to be able to use the project elements form to at least complete other project benchmarks. And for the last thing in our orientation video, we're going to talk about the quarterly status reports. Now, in the new system, these are going to auto-generate at some point. In the email that was sent to you, at some point between July 2nd and July 6th, a quarterly report will generate. Okay? That the sequence that will happen there is once that has generated, all right, you're going to get an email that says a quarterly report for your project is now available and ready to complete. It's going to have a link to the resources for awarded active projects, and it's going to have a link to a complete guide to quarterly reports. Okay, if you don't want to wait to see that link, if you just want a little preview of what that looks like, if you click on the RGO 2020 resources and you look at the awarded active project resources, you'll see complete guide to quarterly reports, and that's in the developmental system. Sorry, y'all. In the actual system, though, just so you can be rest assured, right here in the awarded active projects, you'll see complete guide to quarterly reports, and then that will generate a download here, and then there's a very detailed guide to using these quarterly reports with everything that you need to know. Okay, it shows you how to identify where it is, how to identify who the parent is, right? In the new system, these quarterly reports are children documents of the parent document, which is your project, and it'll show you everything you need to know about how to identify, what to fill out, how to submit it. Okay, so you're going to want to review that document. And again, that document is linked directly in item 2 here in the original introduction email that you got. It's also available on the resources tab in RGO 2020. It's here in the awarded active project resources. Okay, but to look at it practically speaking, okay, back on my home screen, I'm back in the developmental system again. Whenever I have a quarterly report for a project that I'm a part of, it'll appear in my task list on my home screen. Okay, if I look here and I click on the name of the document here, right, it'll take me to my quarterly report. It'll show me what parent project, parent application, whatever you want to say, that this quarterly report goes with. This goes with my test target range, okay? And this is my target range grant program quarterly 2 of 2020 report for DTO sponsor organization, and this is 0008. If I had 2 projects and they were different, I might have 2 of these things that look exactly the same that have one distinction at the end. Maybe it would say 00007, but when I pulled up 0007, it would show me a different parent. So I would know oh, I'm submitting my quarterly report for my target range project here, and then I'm submitting my quarterly report for my archery range project if I have a different application. Okay, when I pull up the quarterly report, I'm simply going to verify that this is me, that this is my project, and this is the quarter year. I'm going to put the preparer's contact information. If it's somebody besides me or that person is not listed here, remember, we can go back to our organization. We can add the new member, okay? We can add them to the application that we're looking at using the documents information. And then when I come back to this form, they'll appear in the drop-down list. Right now, this is just showing me people who are already in the system and already associated with this document, okay? Once I fill out all the information, I'll quickly save it, and then in the new system, I'll have the option to status change into submitted when it's done, and that will cue us that it's ready to review. So, in summary, today we have looked at how to look at the organization we're part of, how to look at our user profile, how to see the resources for the new system, and then what our home screen looks like. Remember, we can drag around all of these as we wish, okay? And we've looked at how to open any task and how to get to the application associated with the task. There's one thing we have not covered. This is a very common question. What if I want to find my application and it doesn't have anything for me to do right now? Let's talk 12 months from now. I just need to get in here and look at my application. I'm going to click the Applications tab up here, and this is going to show me all of the applications associated with my organization, even those that I don't have a task on, okay? There's lots of them I can see right here, right? Let's say I just want to look at the boating infrastructure grant that I have, okay? Remember, the reason I don't have a task is because if it's an active project and I've submitted all of my benchmark documentation and I don't have a quarterly report due and I don't have a reimbursement request submitted at this very moment, there might not necessarily be anything for me to do except what's on the Project Elements tab, okay? At this moment, there's nothing on that tab, right? So I don't have any action on this project, and that's why it's not in my task list on my home screen, but I can still see it. Likewise, if I've submitted applications in the past that were not funded, right? I'll see them right here. I've got withdrawn applications. I've got ones that are canceled project applications. This is where I see everything that I've done, okay, with my organization. If I want to filter down, if I just want to look at my co-op applications from 2020, I can do that, right? Okay. If I just want to look at applications associated with a certain person in my organization, I can do that, all right? But applications is where I see all of the stuff associated with my sponsor organization. Most of you are not going to have much in here. There's a few sponsors we have that have several, but most of you, the only thing you have going right now is your migrated application. Okay, that's really it. That should get the ball rolling on using Argo 2020 to manage your project. Again, if you refer back to your initial introduction email, this is my contact information. And it's my mission to help you manage your project and your grant successfully, to stay in compliance, and to do everything that I can to support you from a technical aspect. So you can reach me in the office, on the cell, through email, and I'll be happy to answer any of the questions about managing your migrated project in Argo 2020. So thanks for your time today, and again, be sure to reach out if you have any questions. We'll be in contact over the next few weeks as more data is added into your project. Once it gets moved into the status where you can use the system to automatically request payments or amendments again, you'll be notified, and at that point, you'll be able to use all the standard resources for any of the active projects in the new system.